So, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Milesight and All IoT presentation. Today, we're going to be talking about the Milesight range and how it can be used to monitor, manage, and save on things like energy costs in buildings. So, my name's Trudy. I'm the Customer Project Manager here at All IoT. And today I'm joined by Ansel, who's a product marketing specialist from the Milesight team. We'll hear a little bit more from Ansel during the Milesight piece of the presentation shortly. So just a little bit about who we are. So All IoT, we're a hardware distributor at heart with lots of value-added services. We specialise in project consultation, specifying hardware right through to functionality of equipment. In other words, what happens with the data that's being gathered. We supply into the channel through managed service providers, systems integrators, and IoT consultants. As a specialist IoT distributor, we partner with many of the world's leading manufacturers to bring the latest technology to market. We've got our own suite of carefully curated services that wrap around these products to make deployments nice, quick, and simple, which help provide a fast return on investment. As a primary partner, Milesight's extensive range of high-performance sensors that have got really good build quality and gateways form the backbone of our smart buildings portfolio. With the help and collaboration of their innovative R&D team, along with our own in-house technical team, we ensure that it's easy to utilise the data that's gathered, whether that data is going to be going into your own custom-built software or whether it's going to be going into an existing BMS to enhance what's already there. As we have a strong commitment to quality, every partner within our ecosystem is vetted for reliability, security, and long-term support. So we work with a lot of clients in the smart building sector, mainly sort of due to the ease of integration and a lot of the solutions being able to be retrofitted. So it makes the installation piece a lot faster than traditional wired systems. Therefore, it makes it more efficient to get those valuable insights. A few example use cases using Milesight hardware are occupancy intelligence. So space optimization is a pretty hot topic right now. There's the occupancy versus comfort. So schools having overcrowded learning spaces, in offices, are cleaning schedules frequent enough or too frequent in scenarios such as hot desking or your washroom facilities? Or you could be working with a local authority who's looking to repurpose underutilised spaces, things like libraries and public buildings that aren't being used as much. Once you've got the data to prove that they're not being used as much, then you can open that conversation up as to how to repurpose those buildings. Milesight also have quite an extensive range of indoor air quality sensors. The AM319 sensor, which I'm sure Ansel's going to be talking about in a little more detail in his presentation, is well certified, and you can monitor up to 9 parameters from one sensor. The remainder of the AM series are mostly battery powered, so they're pretty unintrusive, and you can have either with or without any display, depending on where that sensor is going to be positioned. Some people don't like to always see what's going on if there's a little sad face on the sensor if the CO2's too high, for example. Which there's quite a lot of data that's supporting the fact that comfort levels, temp humidity, and particularly CO2 have been linked to productivity. So obviously, if your CO2 levels are above 1,800 parts per million, you either need to turn on the air conditioning, open a window, or have less people within that particular space so that the productivity can then increase. And then, of course, that leads really nicely into those all important HVAC efficiency savings. So there's quite a lot that you can do with power saving, not just with the HVAC, turning it on and off, but you can actually set some condition-based actuations. So, for example, if a space is not occupied, make sure that you're not heating that space, lighting that space, and all of that can be done either within the BMS logic that already exists, or if you've got your own software that can do that. The important information is getting that information into where it needs to go in the first place to drive those actions. And Milesight have added some fantastic new products into their range, things like the CTHO1 sensor, which is brand new to the marketplace. It's a 12-gang current meter sensor, so you can either use it as 12 individual energy phases or 4 three-phase circuits from one sensor, from one unit. So you can effectively monitor energy usage with a view to reducing overall consumption, and particularly sort of outside your normal 9 to 5 working hours. So with no further ado, I think I'll hand over to Ansel, who's going to introduce the Milesight range in a little bit more detail.
Okay. Thank you, Judy. It's a pleasure to be joining you today. And good morning, everyone. I'm Ansel from Milesight Product Marketing Team. And before we dive into the solution detail, let me briefly introduce who we are. So when you work with Milesight, you work with a leading provider of IoT products. And throughout our history, Milesight has been a leader in advancing emerging technologies such as AI, 5G, and IoT across diverse application scenarios, and especially for smart building. So today, our products are deployed in over 120 countries, with deploying more than 1 million devices in the field. As a leading provider, we also play an important role in driving energy efficiency. So Milesight has a rich product lineup, including the sensing products, also the connectivity products, and the accessory platforms. And this product series allow us to serve different vertical markets and establish our strengths across smart building and people sensing, and also the environmental monitoring. So let me set the stage for what we're going to talk about today, and what is energy efficiency so important right now, and what is the smart energy management solution of Milesight. So let me expand it. And there are three big reasons why smart buildings are growing fast. The first is, let's look at the compliance. And across Europe and the UK, the new regulation require building to be much more energy efficient. And to meet those standards, we must participate in moving the traditional building to the smart and the connected building. And the second, I think, is as you can see, the financial incentive. The saving energy means lower bills, and it also means the better building certification. And in some regions, the government will offer incentive to cover the part of the building retrofit cost, and they encourage the digital transformation of the legacy building. And the third part is that the reputation. The user and the customer, they want the good experience, and our employee and the user wants to living in a healthy modern building. Just for example, they want to know about the air quality. They want to the automatic HVAC control for comfortable environment. And also, this technology is ready now, the IoT sensor and the AI and the LoRaWAN. And we can deploy those devices in our office, hotel, shopping mall, and schools. So what is the challenge right now? The legacy building are facing two problems now. The first is the HVAC management. So most buildings have heating and the cooling system that operate on fixed schedule or manual override. So they can adapt to the occupancy, weather, or indoor air quality in real time. So which will cause more energy consumption. And the second is the overuse of the electricity. Just imagine that the facility manager, they have no visibility into which circuit and rule on which part of the building are consuming power. The high cost on electricity fee and no idea about what's the reason. And how to monitor the electricity consumption in real time. And it's difficult to turn off the light or the air condition when people is leaving the room. So let's look at the number on the right side, just like the building use 36% of the global energy and 55% of the electricity. And at the same time, 37% of global CO2 emission are generated by building. So the smart building transformation is in need right now. And at Milesight, for the energy efficiency solution, we focus on the three things. The first is the smart building control. This means the remote monitoring and the smart switch and the ultimate control for the light and the HVAC system. And the second is the energy monitoring, the real-time data collection, the decision-making dashboard, and the adjustment based on the usage data. And finally, we'll have a fully system integration. We connect the wireless sensor to your existing building management system and use open protocol like BACnet, Moonbus, and MQTT to build up a smart building ecosystem. Now, let's look how we build a smart energy management ecosystem. And I will introduce our solution details and the related products. So just before we go into the detailed introduction of the product, I think it's helpful to think about the building development stage. We divide the developing stage of smart building into four stages. And the stage one is the traditional building, the standalone system and the manual control with no data collection. And the stage two is the connected building, which means a single dashboard, some manual integration, and the basic energy utilization. And the stage three is what we call the smart building, with intelligent workflow, AI emerging, and the most system integrate with the cloud platform. So stage four is what we call the autonomous building. This is where we are heading. So AI-driven advanced automation and the system that responds automatically to the occupancy needs without human interaction. So our goal is to take our customer from stage two to stage four. And move on to our full picture of our solution. So this picture shows the full scope of our energy management ecosystem. And on the left side, we have the HVAC management solution. And the WT series controllers heating and the cooling, and the IAQ and the WS series sensor check the air quality and occupancy. And the CTTS and the EM series monitor the building's environment and the facility status. As we can see in the right side, we have the lighting control and the energy monitoring solution. The WS and the VS series control lights and detect the occupancy status to safely energy. And the CT series sensor can monitoring the current consumption. So everything goes one central platform, and it can be your existing BMS system or the third-party platform. So let's look at the HVAC solution. We start from the HVAC part. So on the left, you can see our anode sensor, the WT101. And this is a sensor for traditional water radiator, and WT300X for the fan coil unit. And a range of sensor just below is the AM series sensor. It can detect the air quality, and the VS121 for the occupancy detection. And we also have a VS351 for people counting, and the WS301 for the door open detection. And this device communicates via LoRaWAN protocol to our UG series gateway. And from there, the data flows into your BMS via the BACnet or the Moonbus protocol, or you can flow to a third-party platform via the MQTT or HTTPS. And So first, let me introduce our WT101 smart regulator thermostat. And as one of the early LoRaWAN-based radiator thermostat that available on the market, the WT101 was designed especially for the European radiator-based heating system. And by fully leveraging the advantage of wireless LoRaWAN connectivity, the WT101 enable flexible deployment and without rewiring made it suitable for the retrofit project and the multi-room environment. And combined with the intelligent scheduling function and the centralized management, the WT101 allow heating to be controlled at room level with remaining part of a unified building system. So this approach makes it possible to support smart integration across multiple rooms and building, and improving both occupant comfort and energy efficiency. So without making the system more complex. So and as we can see from the right side, and we also have a WT102 coming soon, and it has no battery. This is a big deal for large project because replace the batteries will be cost a lot of money and time, and it is battery free and using TEG energy harvesting. So with the metal body, that's suitable for any public area. Okay, let's move on to our thermostat control panel. So Milesight Smart Fan Coil Thermostat, the WT0X, and it works with both two pipe and the four pipe system, and support multiple control mode, like customer schedule and the smart protection feature like the window detection, the freeze protection. Also, it has a 2.7-inch E-Link display. So it makes it easy to read at a glance and with remote configuration and the OTA function. The managing large number of the device become very easy and convenient. In conclusion, it is a reliable and flexible choice for smart HVAC control in hotels, office, and the shopping mall. And we just talk about the wire control panel. Let's talk about our latest wireless smart thermostat, the WT401. And with integrated temperature and humidity sensor for environment detection, also combined with the PIR sensor for presence detection. And this also support open window detection and the freeze protection, which is the all-in-one device. And on the connectivity side, it supports the BLE and the LoRaWAN and the power bus. And with the related products, just you can see from the screen, and with WT10X and our upcoming UC7001 and 711 controller, it can work with a wide range of HVAC system, and including the water radiator, split air condition, and the central HVAC controller. With up to 3 years of battery life and a flexible wall mounting option, it is easy to deploy in both new building and the retrofit project. As we talk about the WT101 we mentioned before, and we can combine WT401 and WT101 as a solution. And we can see the detail of this solution is the radiator control. So let's have a sample of the centralized control of the radiator. So the manual adjustment for the multiple radiator is slow and inefficient. And with WT401 and WT101, we can just enable the centralized control. And we can see the picture just here is how it works. The WT401 acts as a local command point, and you can adjust the temperature on it. And the LED commands get set up to the gateway, and which will send the downlink to the thermostat on the radiator. So this setup is perfect for two main scenarios. And the first one is the single unit control. Just imagine you're in a patient room. You can have a WT101 on the radiator in a corner of the room, and the WT401 can mount on the entrance. So this allows the staff to make quick temperature adjustment as soon as they enter the room. And for multiple unit control, You can imagine you're in a lobby or you're in a large workstation with many radiators, and a single WT401 can control multiple WT101. And this ensures a consistent temperature across the entire zone and without needing to touch every single unit. Mm, Since we just introduced our product line, so we will have some real world case study. And this is a hotel in Poland, and they have many rooms with the central radiator heating. So the energy cost was going up, and they need to save energy, but they could not close the hotel for renovation. And the problem was clear, the high heating costs, the energy waste in empty room, and they need to cost-efficient solution to optimizing the heating just without disturbing the hotel daily operation. So the wireless solution is the best choice for this situation. And our solution was simple. We deploy 120 W101 thermostat and one UGS 67 gateway. So the WT101 device adjusts the temperature based on the occupancy and the schedule with no wiring, no construction, and the gas was no disturbed. Also, our gateway was convert the whole hotel with the LoRaWAN signal. So the central platform to let staff control all rooms remotely and that never had to enter the room so they can finish the change of the temperature. So the empty room was not heat without much lower heating bills and the guests stay comfortable. And the hotel now, they have the data to keep improving their service. Okay, we just talked about the HVAC control, and now let's move into another important part of the environment of our building. So it's the air quality. So why we need an IAQ sensor? Just for example, because high CO2 make people tired and less productivity. So our sensor give the building owner a proof that your building is healthy and is good condition for your employee and for your client. And our AM series sensor, they measure many things like temperature, humidity, CO2, and TVOC. Also, it can detect the motion, the light, and so on. And we have different model for different needs. As you can see that the AM102 and the AM103 is the simple two-in-one and the three-in-one sensor. If you just want to detect the temperature and the humidity or CO2 level, you can have that kind of series. And if you want to move in advance, you want the LED indicator, you want the long battery life, and good for the modern BMS integration. You can select AM304 and AM305. And come to our top models, the 9-in-1 sensing, the AM319, and it's well certificated and it support the buzzer alarm and big E-Link screen. And it also can be powered by the USB. And since the air quality is so important because we're living in the office, we want to live in a housing environment, we want to know exactly the quality data. Also, if we can get the air quality data, based on that data, we can do the control to our HVAC system. So it will be an ecosystem that make people more comfortable. And here is a real world successful case in Singapore. The next is the biggest mall in the northwest East Singapore, and they want to be more sustainable. So they install a 35 AM319 sensor and creating more than 1,400 data point per sensor. And that daily data they receive and for the precise HVAC adjustment. So this was the first project in Singapore to successfully retrofit the IoT IAQ data into a Honeywell BMS system just via the Forge platform. So ultimate fan speed control save energy during the quiet hours. And the shopper get better air quality and everything connect to existing BMS for real-time monitoring. As we mentioned in our company introduction, the people sensing is an important aspect of smart building solution. And we center around the people sensing, the Milesight has developed more than 10 different models. And these products designed to measure specific requirement, just like in people counting, occupancy, and people caring. So the Milesight VS series stand out with 6 key highlights. So it can integrate with device sensing technology, including the AI, RGB, TOF, and the radar. Also the thermopile. So the or you can combine with those technology in one sensor, like the combine with the TOF with the infrared or compare something. So they combine with those technology with the accuracy rate up to 99.8%. And moreover, it provides the advanced attribute recognition and allowing user to gain deeper insight, including the distinguish between the male and female, adults and the kids. So the VS series also support wire and wireless flexible deployment and providing various interfaces such as DI, DO, and S585, and which is convenient to connect to existing system to reduce the integration cost. Meanwhile, all detection are processed in an anonymous way, so it's fully compliant with the GDPR privacy protection. So user don't worry about the privacy problem because we just send the data in user LoRaWAN protocol. It will send the number only. It will not send the image or the video information, of course. And let's see some real world success case about the VS series occupancy sensor. This is a university in UAE, and they want a better building automation and the comfort and energy efficiency. So they need to connect occupancy, air quality, and HVAC into one central system. So the problem is clear: manual HVAC waste energy and no real-time air quality data, and no occupancy data to match the HVAC and the lighting with the actual use. So our solution is deploying 100 VS 121 occupancy sensor and 50 AMS 103 air quality sensor, and also our UG series gateway. And the WS121 sensor can count people in each zone, and the AM103 sensor can measure CO2 and the temperature and the humidity. Also, the gateway receives the data and it will send it to the BMS user backnet protocol. And the full integration is wireless, so it's easy deployment with no disruption to the user in the classroom. The result is clear. So the CO2 stay in housing range and the student feel better and will focus on their learning more. So, and the ventilation only runs according to the air quality and occupancy data. So this save energy and reduce the carbon emission. The facility management see everything on the dashboard and the less manual tracking, better daily operation. And now they can, according to the history data, to plan better ventilation and the facility upgrades in the future. Okay, we just talk about the HVAC management solution. So we have 3 parts. Now we are moving to our electricity monitoring. So the circuit level monitoring with the WS series sensor and it can for the appliance level visibility and the remote switching. And also the lighting circuit monitoring with WS50X smart wall switch and the WS550A smart light controller. And we have a distribution box monitoring with the CT10X and the CT3XX current transformers for the circuit level measurement. And you have overload alters, and all data was flow through the LoRaWAN to the gateway, and then you will flow to your BMS or third-party platform, of course. So next is the CT series transformers. So the biggest benefit of this sensor is because it's very easy to deployment and is wireless technology using the LoRaWAN. It clamps directly into the existing wire without cutting or interrupting the circuit. So installation is quick and complete, no intrusive. And the device power itself from the circuit in monis and no battery need. It support up to 3.3 kilohertz sampling frequency for high accuracy current reading and automatically track ampere and voltage data, calculate the total power consumption. And there are two product line, the CT10X for single phase circuit up to 250 amps, and the CT30X for three-phase system and supporting up to 1000 amps. And together, they can cover most energy monitoring needs and across the commercial and the industrial scenario. And we also prepare a real-world successful story. And let's look at the factory in Slovakia, and they have high energy bills and unexpected machine downtime. So they could not see which machine use how much power. The factory owner need a real-time monitoring without stopping the production. The problem is very clear. No visibility into the machine level energy use, and the manual check took too much time, and it will causing more downtime and higher costs. So our Milesight solution is to install about 30 CT10X and CT30X device on 10 machine, and the real-time monitoring with zero disruption, and all data went via LoRaWAN to a gateway and send the data to the IoT cloud platform for real-time monitoring. And the result is impressive. The 21% lower electricity bill for real-time monitoring and better usage. And the productive maintenance reduced the unexpected downtime by 17%. So with less manual work, and the machine data was on the dashboard, just in one dashboard. The factory manager can see the performance from one screen and plan the maintenance plan. So let's moving on to our last part of this solution, and the lighting control. As you can see, it's usually the easiest place to save the energy. And we have three solutions. And for light control, if you want the group control like WS550A controller with the WS 56 or 36 smart thing panel, and just with one button on the panel, you can control so many lights. And the single light control, you can use the WS5X switch and the WS202 motion and the light sensor. And the lights turn on when someone enter, and it will automatically turn off when it detects someone is leaving the room. And there is also a VS series sensor just combined in this solution. So the occupancy control, the WS50X switch and combined with the WS270 sensor and with the radar technology, it can detect someone in the room even if they don't move too much because of the radar detection. So just in the same way, all the data goes through the LoRaWAN to the gateway, then to the BMS or third-party platform. And our solution support from small room to the whole buildings. Okay, let's take a look at our lighting control product metrics. So we just mentioned about the WS50X smart wall switch, and it can measure the power, it can support the group control, and also the WS202 PIR and the light sensor. It can detect motion and the brightness, and with 8-meter wire detection range and up to 5 years battery life. And the WS203 is combined the PIR with the temperature and the humidity sensor, and which is suitable for connecting to the HVAC system. And also the WS1 56 and 136 sync panel is designed for group control and it support the E-Link or the sticker display and no wire need. And it has the over 3 years battery life. And also we have the WS550A Smart Light Controller. It supports the power of memory and the local and remote control for single or 8-way switch. And also it will support the timer, the groups, and the remote control, of course. So let's see some real world successful case about the lighting control. With our WS series sensor, an office building in the UAE, they had high energy bills and still manage the lighting system manually. And this is not only inefficiency, and it's also expensive because you want to hire someone to check the lighting status manually. So, so we install the WS550A light controller and the WS202 motion sensor. And also with our UG56 gateway in the building. And everything was connected to the SenseScreen platform. So when someone is passing by, or then the WS202 will update the data to the gateway, and it will combine with the WS550A Smart Light Controller to turn on or turn on the lights automatically. So come up with an impressive result. The 25% less lighting energy and save $3,000 per year and 11,000 lighting hours saved every month. So the central management made everything was sustainable and the payback time was just 2.67 years. All of this need a good connectivity. So our gateway make it works. They can connect with Ethernet, Wi-Fi, or 4G. And they also have a built-in network server and support the BACnet, Moonbus, and the MQTT and the HTTPS. So you can use it with your own platform. And as we can see in the right side, we also have a uh, smart building scenario. In this scenario, we will have a EG71 building IoT gateway, and it will coming in July. So this is our advanced model for big buildings and built for combine the wire and the wireless system. And it's built for quick installation and the easy BMS integration. And combined with the UG series LoRaWAN gateway, because the UG series LoRaWAN gateway is the wireless gateway, it's only support the LoRaWAN. So it will not have so many ports, but the EG71 will have many ports like the IS450A and the KNX and the MBus, and also the IO interface and more. So it also has an NFC for fast setup for the mild-side sensor and the plug-in terminal. It will save 70% of the wiring time. And also it will have a OLED screen to help you the engineering for the field testing. Okay, this is our gateway product line, and that covers our key product highlight for today. And I hope this give you a clear picture of how those solutions can drive real saving. And now make sure we address if someone have any question, we will move on to our Q&A session. And I will hand it back to Trudy to lead the Q&A session. And Trudy, back to you.
Thank you very much, Ansel. Was very thorough, great presentation. So, I mean, just sort of to finish up really before we go diving into the Q&A session. In short, how can we help? If you're not sure where to start with a project, if you have an initial specification, what are you wanting to achieve? What data do you want to gather? Of what importance is that data? And then what you're going to do with that data once you've got it. It should be pretty straightforward for our team to work back from there and put a spec together for the stuff that you're wanting to use. As I mentioned right at the start, so all IoT, I've got our own in-house technical support team. So anything that needs to be set up, whether that's taking LoRaWAN data in, converting it into BACnet objects on the gateway, and then sending that data directly into the BMS, we can help with all the pre-configuration of all the equipment that Ansel's talked about today prior to dispatching it, as well as having the support portal for post-deployment queries and after-sales support as well. I can see in the questions box that there are some questions in here already. I know that Sean had asked one in the chat about how these systems integrate into the BMS systems, and Jessica's answered that one, thank you. So yeah, exactly as Jessica said, so usually sensors will send out LoRaWAN data that is then using a UG65 or a UG67 or a UG56 gateway. That's usually then converted into BACnet objects and sent straight into the BMS. And again, we can help with the setup of that. So let me just quickly have a look in the question and answers. So Sean, again, loving all these questions. So on the CT series, does the device calculate kilowatt hours, or does this have to be done afterwards? I believe that the calculation is done based on an assumed voltage within the software. It's not done on the device itself because it's a current meter, unless anybody else has any insights into that, Ansel or Jessica, perhaps. Drew, how do you maintain or check calibration status of sensors and account for the sensor to drift over time, mainly related to the IAQ sensors? Ansel, do you want to take that one about the calibration?
Could you please repeat the question again? And
Sure. So how do you maintain or check the calibration status of sensors and account for sensor drift over time, mainly related to the IAQ sensors? So I guess it'll be things like the particulate matters and CO2 nodes.
Yeah, our IQ sensor have auto calibration function, and just download our Toolbox app, and we can just use the auto calibration function in the app. Just click that function, the sensor will calibration automatically. Also, you can do the manually calibration. Just put the IQ sensor in a place with a good air condition, like outdoor, and you will do the calibration itself. So you have two options. The first option is the auto calibration, and this support you can install it indoor. So it will calibrate when the office have nobody in it. And in this time, the office air quality is quite good. So it will also calibrate itself. But if you want to calibrate it in at the daytime, you can put it on the outdoor place with good air condition. You also can start its calibration. And also just our IQ sensor was calibrated in the factory. So before we send the products, we will calibrate already. But during the transportation, there will be some kind of situation that the IQ sensor, the data will be not exactly correct, but you can use the automatically calibration function, of course.
Okay, hopefully that's answered. We've got another one here from Abdul. So how reliable are, oh, hang on, I've lost it. There we go. How reliable are these sensors, the IAQs? CT clamps are in an industrial environment, manufacturing plants being noisy, and there will be a lot of interference. I think that's kind of two questions kind of combined, really. So we have found the reliability of the sensors to be very good. We've tested them alongside other manufacturers as well. And obviously, with the AM319 sensors being well certified, we have found them to be very reliable. There's barely any returns or issues with them once they're out in the field. Yeah, CT clamps generally are in a more industrial environment or sort of within a distribution board, things like that. Manufacturing plants, yeah, you're absolutely right. They do tend to be quite noisy, but with the data going over LoRaWAN, it tends to not get, we had a question yesterday talking about a stadium and will mobile phone signals, for example, on match days affect how the sensors communicate with the gateway, and it's on a totally different bandwidth because it's on certainly here it's on EU868 frequency, which doesn't interfere with a mobile network. So we tend to find that the LoRaWAN systems communicate very well. And as Ansel mentioned, when he was talking about the hotel, the range tends to be quite long and reliable, certainly in busy environments like that. I'm just going to move to Jack's. As a Chinese company, are you confident in passing security and data governance questionnaires with major UK and US based financial and legal institutions? Ansel, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the VS series sensor, right? Just about the privacy or the, because I just want to know what this question they mentioned about is what kind of product, like what kind of our product series is that VS series?
I would have assumed it's the VS series, but it could be related to everything else. I mean, as you mentioned, generally speaking, the way that the messages are captured, and it depends on whether it's a TOF, a time of flight capture, or if it's a camera capture, because LoRaWAN's not geared up to send video images or photos, things of that nature. It transforms the actual message that the sensor receives into a code. So it'll just send the count. I'm going to use a VS121 sensor as the example here. So as Ansel mentioned, it's an occupancy count. So it would be fixed onto the ceiling above a bank of desks of sort of 12 desks. And initially it will take the image data, but obviously it's not going to transmit a full image over LoRaWAN because of the small data packets. So it will just give you a count. Oh, there's 6 people at this bank of 12 desks. So yeah, they do pass the GDPR piece. But in terms of answering data governance questionnaires, if you want to send us through your questionnaire and we can answer that and send through any applicable certificates that we have on file, Jack, please do reach out
Yeah,
after.
thanks Trudy for the explanation. And because we use the LoRaWAN technology, so it will not have enough space for transmit the video and the image data, because it will just send the number data, because using the LoRaWAN, they do not have enough space for transmit the large scale of data. Yeah, and also our detection is 100% anonymous detection. It also fit the European GDPR security. Of course, you also fix with the GDPR standard. Yeah, and that's what I want to stress on.
All right. Oh, thank you, Jack. And then Pavel, what are the most common issues in deployments with LoRaWAN? From my point of view, it's not having a thorough enough initial site survey. So there are, so, generally we'd say for an indoor gateway, you would get something up to 1,000 meters line of sight. But obviously, depending on what the building looks like, whether there's loads of thick concrete, whether there's lift shafts in between where your gateway and your sensors are positioned, that all has an effect on the signal strength. Milesight do have some field survey toolkits within their sensor range. So there's a field test device where you go to site, put your gateway where it's likely to be positioned, and then go to where you're looking to plan to install the sensors, and then you do, press the button on there, and you're looking for things like optimum spread factor, your signal strength, your noise ratio, strength signal to noise ratio, things like that. And we can help advise on the best way to sort of do all that pre-site survey, just to sort of establish exactly how many gateways you're going to get likely coverage for an entire building. Or, I'm going to go back to the stadium. There's a question over whether outdoor gateways or indoor gateways would be best for that particular use case. And it just depends on where they can be installed. Plus, it's absolutely vital that a survey is done so that you can get the optimum coverage from the number of gateways that you're wanting to use for the project. Hopefully that's answered. That tends to be the most common issue that we have. I don't think I can see any more questions. So, all that's left for me to do right now is thank everybody for the time. I appreciate that was a lot of information in a short space of time. So if you think of anything or if any questions pop up afterwards, please don't hesitate to reach out. I think most people on here have got our general email addresses, and there's also been a link to a quick survey. If people who have attended today wouldn't mind completing that and sending that through, that would be very helpful. And it'll help us give a bit more pointers for when we do the next one. So thanks again, Ansel, for your presentation, and thank you everybody for your time for joining.
Thank you, Julie, for the wonderful presentation. And so everyone have a good day. So bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.